Hi, I'm Andy Ramirez for the Liberty News Network. Today we have an update for you on the Fast and Furious murder case that led to the death of Border Patrol BORTAC agent Terry, who was killed in the line of duty back on December 15, 2010. And now, as you know, we at LNN and our sister publication, The New American Magazine, have been following this case since it first happened. And we are talking now over a year and a half. And it's taken that long for the Justice Department to issue a press release today where the indictment against the suspects in this case has now been unsealed. This is from the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of California, who is now handling this case, as the U.S. Attorney for Arizona has recused themselves. Given the facts in this case, I wonder why. This is from the Department of Justice, Office of Public Affairs, and stated Monday, July 9, 2012. 5 individuals charged in connection with death of a Customs and Border Protection Border Patrol agent, $1 million FBI reward announced. Now, CBP is an agency within the Department of Homeland Security. An indictment charging 5 individuals involved in the death of a U.S. Border Patrol agent, Terry, was unsealed today in Tucson, and a reward of up to $1 million from the FBI for information leading to the arrest of 4 fugitives was announced by DOJ officials. According to the indictment, and this is again from the DOJ's own press release, Manuel Osorio Arianes, Jesus Rosario Favela Astorga, Ivan Soto Barraza, Heraclio Osorio Arianes, and Lionel Portillo Mesa are charged with crimes including first-degree murder, second-degree murder, conspiracy to interfere with commerce by robbery, attempted interference with commerce by robbery, use and carrying a firearm during a crime of violence, assault on a federal officer, and possession of a firearm by a prohibited person. A 6th defendant, Rito Osorio Arianes, is charged only with conspiracy to interfere with commerce by robbery. You know I'm going to have questions pertaining to this, but I'll continue. The 11-count third superseding indictment, which was handed up by a federal grand jury in the District of Arizona on November 7, 2011, this is 11 months after the murder, alleges that on December 14, 2010, 5 of the defendants, Manuel Osorio Arianes, Jesus Rosario Favela Astorga, Ivan Soto Barraza, Heraclio Osorio Arianes, and Lionel Portillo Mesa, or Lionel Portillo Mesa, engaged in a firefight with Border Patrol agents. During the exchange of gunfire, Agent Terry was shot and killed. The indictment alleges that the defendants had illegally entered the United States from Mexico for the purpose of robbing drug traffickers of their contraband. In addition to the murder of Agent Terry, the indictment also alleges that the 5 defendants assaulted Border Patrol agents William Castano, Gabriel Fregosa, and Timothy Keller, who were with Agent Terry during the firefight. Now, this would be his BORTAC team, as I would understand this. Agent Terry served his country honorably and made the ultimate sacrifice in trying to protect it from harm, and we will stop at nothing to bring those responsible for his murder to justice, said Attorney General Eric Holder. As you may remember, Attorney General Holder was just held in contempt of Congress by the United States House of Representatives in late June, prior to the 4th of July recess. This investigation has previously resulted in 1 defendant being charged with Agent Terry's murder and taken into custody, and today's announcement reflects the department's unrelenting commitment to finding and arresting the other individuals responsible for this horrific tragedy, so that Agent Terry's family, friends, and fellow law enforcement agents may receive the justice they deserve. U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of California, Laura E. Duffy, said, Agent Terry died in the line of duty while protecting his country, but he was more than a federal agent. He was a son, a brother, a co-worker, and a friend to many. The indictment unsealed today reflects the progress our dedicated law enforcement team has made piecing together this complex murder case. But there is more work to be done, and we will not rest until we bring justice to the family of Brian.Terry. U.S. Border Patrol agent Brian.Terry made the ultimate sacrifice in December of 2010 while protecting our border, stated James L. Turgle, Jr., FBI Special Agent in Charge, Phoenix Division. Today's announcement is an important step in the pursuit of justice for Border Patrol Agent Terry and his family. It is our hope that the publicity surrounding this case will lead to information concerning the whereabouts of the 4 remaining fugitives. The FBI and our law enforcement partners will continue to pursue those individuals responsible for the murder of Border Patrol Agent Brian.Terry. Manuel Osorio Arianes has been in custody since his arrest the night of the shooting. Rito Osorio Arianes has been in custody since December 12, 2010, when he was arrested by Border Patrol agents on immigration charges. The indictment is being unsealed today in order to seek the public's assistance in locating the fugitive defendants. The case is being prosecuted in federal court in Tucson by attorneys from the Southern District of California, Special Attorneys Todd W. Robinson, David D. Leshner, and Fred A. Shepard. And, of course, they also go on to close with, an indictment is a formal charging document, and defendants are presumed innocent until the government meets its burden in court of proving guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, something they had clearly lacked doing in prosecutions against Border Patrol agents who were doing their jobs, unlike the illegal alien drug smugglers they were apprehended that were apprehended by Border Patrol agents and other law enforcement officers during these types of cases. But here is an interesting twist that we need to just kind of touch. Now, you notice the names seem to have this Osorio Arianes, this Heraclio Osorio Arianes. So you got a couple people whose names are Osorio. Well, if we go back to the indictment of March 2011, out of the Northern District of Texas, from the Department of Justice U.S. Attorney's Office, ballistic tests trace one of the firearms used in February 2011 shooting of ICE agents to one of the defendants. And this is regarding the Ranferi Osorio, 27, and his brother Otilio Osorio were arrested yesterday at their home on East Colonial Drive in Lancaster, Texas. The date of this is March 1, 2011. Each Osorio brother is charged with possessing firearms with an obliterated serial number. Separately, according to information contained in one complaint, Mexican officials seized 3 firearms that were used in the deadly shooting on February 15, 2011 of a U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agent, and of course that would be Special Agent Jaime Zapata, who was killed in Mexico in an ambush. Now, let's tie some of these dots together. You have a couple guys here whose names are Osorio. You have Ranferi Osorio. You have Otilio Osorio. You have Manuel Osorio Arianes and Heraclio Osorio Arianes. Is there a coincidence here? Are they perhaps related? Are they perhaps part of the same crew or outfit? And I say crew because they may be, in 2 different locations. Clearly Southern Arizona, clearly North Texas. But these 2 different units could be part of a bigger organization. And if that's the case, then we have just established another link as part of this. Now, let's get back to this other point, though, because you see, if you look at what's stated in this press release of Monday, July 9, 2012, today, by the Justice Department, you got to wonder, why today? Why, after the contempt of Congress citation, does the Justice Department now unseal the indictment? See, they could have gone and did this a long time ago. Why, literally 19 months later? Why? Well, that's a question that needs to be asked by Chairman Issa and the government, the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee. Because to me, this doesn't smell right. I've been doing this for the past 8 years, and I've been examining Border Patrol cases, Customs cases, DOJ cases. And so you start to smell when something, that dog don't hunt, and this dog clearly doesn't hunt. Now, we know that Agent Terry honorably served this nation. Everything I've ever heard about him was that he was an honorable soldier and he was an honorable agent. And he would be an honorable agent in the ways that many of my sources and friends who were legacy Border Patrol agents and Border Patrol inspectors were honorable agents who knew the meaning of the word honor first, because that was the motto for the United States Border Patrol from the beginning through the days of the beginning at DHS, and I mean the beginning back in the 1920s, through the beginnings at DHS until David Aguilar got his hands on it and wrecked the outfit. Now we know that he made the ultimate sacrifice. But isn't it ringing rather hollow from the Justice Department? We will stop at nothing to bring those responsible for his murder to justice. Now, why are they just doing this now in July of 2012? Why didn't this happen during the year 2011? Why not January, February, March, April, May, June? Why now, after the House took the extraordinary step of holding him in contempt of Congress? And that refers to Attorney General Holder. Could it be that they're now having to deal with some of this heat, and so it could be just yet another, well, we're going to do this and we're going to release this because we're seeking the public's help, but the real purpose is to get people off somebody's butts? To me, I appreciate any opportunities for law enforcement to be able to do their job. But you see, I'm in California, and I've seen this type of thing take place before. See, I have a coin in my collection honoring the service of a Los Angeles County Deputy Sheriff, and it's right here. And the LA County Deputy Sheriff was Deputy David March. And he ended on watch April 29, 2002. And the thing is, I keep this with me. When he was murdered by an illegal alien, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department definitely wanted to do what they could, but the murderer had absconded back to Mexico. So what happens there? It took several years through the countless obstructions by the Bush administration, and you can't tell me otherwise, and it took how many years for the Mexican government to do their end on obstructing justice to prevent this murderer from coming into the United States, being properly prosecuted for murdering a law enforcement officer who left a family behind, who left a lovely wife and child behind. Yet, I smell the same thing could happen with this. Because if they're in Mexico, you think Mexico's going to want to help? They've done everything to stop any prosecutions against bad guys? And let me tell you what's happening. So our sources here at LNN report to us that agents get rocked, shot at, assaulted, spit on, or spat on, and otherwise, and they go to the U.S. attorney's offices and there's no prosecutions. But the Mexican government wants a prosecution on a Border Patrol agent for doing their job to protect this nation from the illegal entry of primarily drug smugglers and rip crews and potential terrorists and human traffickers, and they don't get touched. You know what? I look at a press release like this, it's well overdue, and I'm not going to applaud it. I hope they catch the individuals, but that's only one step to this, because I want to add something further to this report. Sheila Jackson Lee, United States Representative from the Houston, Texas area, over the past week, continued the rhetoric by claiming that the ISA committees continued looking into this, as well as the citations against Attorney General Holder were of politics. No, the staged walkout by the Congressional Black Caucus and other House Democrat leaders and members was about politics. Because as Colonel West, United States Representative from Florida, stated, that was when basically they were solely protecting the Attorney General and staging this walkout solely based on his color. And that to me is garbage. When you were talking a prosecution, you're talking dead agents. Terry. Let me repeat that for former Speaker and current Democrat Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi. The name is Terry. The other name in this is Jaime Zapata. Let me repeat that. Jaime Zapata. These two agents were murdered in the line of duty. One would hope that the Democrats will come back in and start playing games, stop playing games with this, because even the Republicans during the Watergate mess, had to find an acceptable word, even they realized when it was time to get off the ship. And it's far past the time, given the perjury committed by the Attorney General. See, it's very hard to take anything that's stated on paper from the Justice Department seriously, considering they've already established a record when it comes to Fast and Furious and the murder of Terry, and their role in covering up, beginning that very night in the fields in the canyons of Rio Rico, Arizona, to take anything they have with any seriousness and certainly with any credibility, because as far as I'm concerned, they have none. We're going to continue on this case until it reaches its conclusion, and hopefully there will be justice for Agent Terry, Agent Zapata, and both of their families, as well as the agents they served with. I close this report tonight on a very sad note. Border Patrol Agent Leopoldo Cavazos Jr. died in the line of duty as a result of an ATV accident that took place along the U.S.-Mexico border in Fort Hancock, Texas. We wanted to close in his memory and offer our condolence from LNN to his family members, his fellow agents, and his loved ones. For the Liberty News Network, I'm Andy Ramirez.